Hi there everyone, welcome to another informative half-hour journey inside Jamaica Magazine. I'm your host Adrian Atkinson. Thank you so much for joining us. Coming up, our Health-Wise segment continues to focus on COVID and our health, plus initiatives to protect the environment. And later, we'll look at what's happening for Reggae Month. Fasten your seatbelts and relax. The journey continues right after this message.
To properly carry out a hand rub, apply a palmful of the product in your cupped hand, covering all surfaces. Rub your hands palm to palm. Rub your right palm over the back of your left hand with interlaced fingers and vice versa. Rub your hands palm to palm with fingers interlaced. Rub the back of your fingers to opposing palms with fingers interlocked. Rotationally rub backwards and forwards the clasped fingers of your right hand in your left palm and vice versa. Once your hands are dry, they are now safe.
Jamaica has joined global efforts to protect the environment through the Kigali Agreement. This agreement establishes specific targets and timetables to phase down the production and consumption of the air pollutant and ozone-depleting substances, hydrofluorocarbons, HCFCs. Watch this next feature to learn more. The impact of climate change is far-reaching. The summers are getting warmer and the winter months are becoming increasingly colder. It is with this in mind that the government of Jamaica is playing its part to manage the impacts of climate change. Through a collaboration with the United Nations Development Programme, preparatory activities are underway to enable Jamaica to ratify and implement the 2016 Kigali Amendment to the Montreal Protocol on substances that deplete the ozone layer. The Montreal Protocol fulfilled the objectives of the Vienna Convention for the protection of the ozone layer. It is a global environmental agreement originally signed in 1987 by countries across the world and ratified by Jamaica in 1993. This agreement seeks to phase out the use and production of ozone-depleting materials, such as chlorofluorocarbons, more commonly known as CFCs. CFCs were invented in the 1930s for use in the refrigeration sector and as propellants for aerosols. Increased consumption of refrigerants in motor vehicles, refrigerators and air conditioning units, as well as foam insulation, resulted in damage to the ozone layer, which is the protective shield that protects the Earth from the harmful rays of the sun. Damage to the ozone layer can cause devastating harm to human life, health and the environment. As time progressed, newer refrigerants such as hydrochlorofluorocarbons, more commonly known as HCFCs, were introduced as alternatives to CFCs. These substances were seen as less likely to damage the ozone layer. With the advent of the technological era, studies showed that HCFC is a powerful greenhouse gas that contributes to the depletion of the ozone layer. Even later still, it was determined that while HFCs were not considered to be ozone-depleting, they too were powerful greenhouse gases that contributed to global warming, which intensifies climate change. With this new information, countries sought the best alternatives to ensure the protection of the ozone layer, being mindful of the effects of climate change. By 2007, countries around the world agreed to advance the phase-out of HCFCs by the year 2040. As work continued for a cleaner, healthier environment, the Kigali Amendment to the Montreal Protocol added HFCs to the list of controlled substances to be phased down. The amendment was agreed on in 2016 and became effective in January 2019. This amendment is seen as a significant tool in the fight against climate change. As of November 2019, 81 countries have ratified the amendment and have agreed to control the production and use of HFCs by phasing down its usage by 80% by the year 2045. Under this amendment, the use of modern, more environmentally friendly refrigerants like carbon dioxide, propane and ammonia are now being encouraged and will later be enforced. As part of its commitment to protecting the ozone layer and the environment, Jamaica is currently implementing the first stage of the HCFC Phase-Out Management Plan project. This project is being implemented by the UNDP through a partnership with the National Environment and Planning Agency NEPA with funding from the Montreal Protocol. Of the main achievements of the project, the three main results achieved so far includes the introduction of the 2014 Trade Order, which now restricts the importation of HCFCs based on a licensing and quota system, phasing out of the use of HCFCs in the foam sector and a significant reduction in the use of HCFCs in the refrigeration and air conditioning sector, as well as strengthening the capacity of refrigeration and air conditioning technicians in best practices through capacity building sessions, as well as the provision of personal protective equipment kits. In order for the Kigali Amendment to take effect in Jamaica, it has to be ratified. Before this can happen, laws have to be reviewed and amended as necessary. Additionally, a licensing and quota system for the importation and consumption of HFCs, similar to that of HCFCs, has to be created. 4 steps are required in the ratification process. Currently, Jamaica is at step 1, and consultations are now being held to prepare a cabinet submission. Once approved, the country can move to the preparation and enactment of laws. This is followed by the preparation of another cabinet submission for ratification, and finally, depositing the instrument with the United Nations, after which Jamaica becomes bound by the treaty within 90 days. You may be wondering how this affects you. For persons in the refrigeration and air conditioning sector, get ready to make the unavoidable switch to more environmentally friendly refrigerants and reduce the use of substances that contain HCFCs and HFCs. This will lead to a safer and healthier environment for all. The general public and consumers also stand to benefit from cost savings. Newer appliances and vehicles coming into the country, some of which are already here, will be equipped to use these modern, more environmentally friendly refrigerants. The time is now to make the switch to protect the environment. So join us in helping to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. Jamaica, on the road to ratification of the Kigali Amendment.
I'm Helene Davis-White, President of the Jamaica Confederation of Trade Unions. Our vision for a transformed public sector is one in which the workers will be happy providing efficient and effective service to the citizens of Jamaica. And that will be accomplished when the environment within which they work is conducive to them being able to deliver efficient and effective service, and one in which they are properly compensated for the work that they do.
Brought to you by the Transformation Implementation Unit.
We all generate household waste that usually ends up in landfills or dumps, if not our rivers and oceans. But how about using some of our green household waste to make valuable soil compost for growing garden and vegetable plants? That's good plant nutrient coming at little or no cost. Keep watching to see how to do just that.
Compost is one of the richest form of soil nutrient. So here we are buying fertilizer for huge sums of money, when in fact we are throwing away something which is richer in many regards than what we are buying, spending hard cash for. We, from time to time, do what we call garbage characterization survey. This is where we actually go island-wide and take samples of the garbage and look at what make up the garbage. All the surveys that are done in recent past points to one particular set of dynamic. The compostables are always the highest. 67% in some survey, 65% in some. We eat vegetables. We do ground provisions, the peelings from those. We use cardboards, newspapers, lots of stuff that can be broken down and can be put to good use. With such a high percentage of the solid waste being compostable, we are therefore forced to look at how we're going to manage in the best way possible, in the most efficient way possible, that high percentage of the garbage.
Composting is a rich form of soil that is broken down by microorganisms to become either fertilizer or soil. Now we're going to do a demonstration to show you how we can do it. First, if we're starting, this is our kitchen waste. So if you're starting a compost bin at home, you need to get your kitchen peel, your banana, your lettuce, your cabbage, your tomatoes, and you cut them in finer particles. It will make it break down much faster. In order for the microorganism to work effectively, you need moisture, you need air, and you need heat. You can use a hand shovel or your hands. Too much moisture will allow the stuff to rot and it won't be compost. And if it is too dry, the microorganisms won't be able to work effectively. So you need to get a right mixture. If you squeeze it with a fist, you shouldn't have any water running out of it. If it's dripping, it is okay. If it is running out of it, that means you have too much water. So now this is our compost. If you keep this moisture in your compost, it will give you a maturity rate of 3.5 months. And you'll get this final product, which is this right here. Compost, what it does, the longer it stays into the ground, is the richer it becomes. We're going to demonstrate how we use our compost for potting. We're going to pot a few plants using our compost. This plant is called spider fern. It is an indoor plant that does like a fair amount of water. It likes a light mixture. The composting can be used for indoor and outdoor plants. This plant is called a bougainvillea. It is an outdoor plant. It likes a lot of sunlight. It blooms a lot, and it likes dry areas. The compost is offer drainage. It doesn't keep the water too long. This is now 6 weeks old, and this is 3 weeks after being planted as a seedling using our compost. And this bougainvillea is 6 weeks after being planted by our compost, and they're just blooming, blooming, blooming. This is a mature spider fern that we use for our rentals, and this is about 2.5 months old.
The other benefit is that we at the NSWMA, we would need less trucks. Now, right now, our biggest problem is trucks to remove garbage. Can you imagine if we could take out the 67%, which we could convert at source? What that would do to our national budget? Gas oil, repairs of trucks, labor to work on the trucks. Just look at it. It is huge savings that could come. Exponential is about getting a behavioral change at source that will see significant reduction in solid waste. We want to see this reduction and to see it in a very tangible way. And we believe that composting provides that excellent opportunity.
Practice good hygiene by washing your hands frequently using soap and water. Here's how you should do it while conserving water. Turn on the tap to wet your hands, then turn off the pipe. Lather your hands and the tap with soap. Turn on the tap and wash your hands back,
front and in between fingers. Use some of the water to wash off the tap, then turn it off. Dry your hands with disposable hand towels. If you don't have running water, use a hand rub containing 62% or more alcohol. If hand sanitizers are not available, rubbing alcohol, Dettol, white rum, or household bleach will do the trick. And if all else fails, let hand washing and the handling of potable water be a two-person event. Each person will take turns pouring and washing hands with sitting water. Now is a good time to consider installing a tap on your containers to reduce the risk of water contamination. Faucets can be easily attached to drums, buckets, or 5-gallon water bottles. And to ensure that the outside of the containers are clean when recapping, disinfect it with hand rub containing alcohol that's 62% or more. The 5 R's of water conservation are also necessary to practice. Reduce water wastage by investing in water-saving devices. Reuse water at least twice before discarding. Replace leaking pipes, faucets, and other plumbing equipment. Recycle wastewater and use it for gardening, car washing, or cleaning of public spaces. And reclaim water through rainwater harvesting. We all must play our part to ensure there's water to combat the coronavirus and stave off prolonged drought.
It's Reggae Month, and amidst the COVID-19 pandemic, the celebration of our great homegrown musical genre will be staged virtually. A lot is taking place. Take a look.
Do you love reggae music?
When I think of reggae music, as cliche as it sounds, I think of positive vibrations and just a movement that has shifted the thought processes of people across the globe.
What started as a means of expression within Jamaican inner-city communities in the 1960s has become a global phenomenon, stealing the hearts and transforming the minds of people all around the world.
Reggae music means a lot to me because it's a very big part of my culture. Even though I'm not living in Jamaica, it is actually my favorite type of music.
On prend le reggae comme un mouvement de liberté, ça nous permet de nous évader. Jamaïque, c'est un petit peu le rêve de tous les Français ici. Et on remercie les Jamaïcains pour leur mouvement de reggae et surtout Bob Marley.
Reggae music is all that and then some. Not only does it represent our culture, but impacts society, gaining worldwide recognition by UNESCO as an intangible cultural heritage worthy of protection and promotion. And so, for the past 14 years, we celebrate every aspect of this or genre of music in the only month-long reggae festival in the world.
Hey, you never know you would love the Congo Bongo. You never know you would love the fire.
Reggae music brings people together. So even in the midst of a pandemic, while outside keep and social distance is being practiced, we aren't breaking this rhythm of reggae music celebration.
Come on, make it one. Make it show them like a jackaman. Reggae month.
We can still get together and feel all right, even from a distance.
And so we have been, virtually.
You don't want to lose it. It's electric. Boogie, woogie, woogie. You can't use it. It's electric. Boogie, woogie, woogie. But you know it's there. It's here, there, and everywhere.
reggae month. Oh, I'm gonna tell them, say we're winning right now, you win. Oh yes, we're winning right now, but we forget the trophy because we're living right now.
Reggae way to bless, 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 bless.
From Reggae Month church service at Fellowship Tabernacle to Bob Marley's 76th birthday celebration, persons have been catching the rhythm. But the month is young and there are still tons of daily activities. Each Sunday in February is Ground Nation with the Jamaica Music Conference. Mondays, it's all things reggae history. Wake the town and tell the people. Stage audio workshop and just give me the light. Stage lighting workshop. Tuesdays are all about our children, with the children of our icons rewind, reggae stories, Jario virtual discussions, amateur on the mounds, and lots more. Wednesdays are dedicated to Jario Reggae Rewind, Reggae Month Masterclass, Reggae Praise, and more. And on Thursdays, grab your books and pens for Jario Open University and discuss topics including effects of COVID, opportunities and new normal, and reggae and resistance. Pop some corn and grab a drink on Fridays while enjoying reggae films with the family. And deck the kids out in black, green, and gold for Jamaica Day in schools on February 26.
All pirates, yes, they rabbi.
On Saturdays, we'll enjoy vintage concerts and a sound system tune for tune. On the final Saturday, February 27, get dressed and go to your living rooms for the Reggae Icon Award ceremony. And on the last day of Reggae Month, Sunday, February 28, participate in the Jamaica Music Online Conference and then put on your tux or gown for the Jaria Honors Awards. Never miss a beat. Come catch the rhythm virtually during Reggae Month 2021. Download the Reggae Jamaica app for all things about the music and the celebration schedule. After all,
Reggae just sweet. That's it.
This workplace protocol is in keeping with the new phase, the latest phase of COVID-19, which is the community transmission phase. Focus is on how to prevent not just getting the virus, but more importantly, managing the virus in our current environment. And that includes how we adjust the workplace so work can take place while we manage the spread that will happen and is happening.
What employers and employees have to recognize is we no longer know who are the positive persons because there are several positive persons in our community. They look just like you. They move around just like you. They're not having symptoms. They don't know that they're positive and you're not going to know they're positive. It makes sense, therefore, that everything that you do in your daily operations, whether it is in your home, whether it is in your community, whether it is in your workplace, that those measures are sufficient to protect you and to protect others. And that is why we have the infection prevention and control measures. Organizations need to put in place daily cleaning protocols that are sufficient to kill any virus particles that may remain on surfaces where droplets may fall. Now, basic workplace rules are important for persons wherever it is that you work, and workers are required to wear a mask at work, and they must hand sanitize before entering their work area. Physical distancing, whether you're in an office, whether you're on a factory floor, whatever work it is that you do, physical distancing must be maintained at all work areas. Hand sanitization as you move from one work area to the next is important. In this way, you can even have somebody that is positive who don't know that they're positive, working alongside you, but they are not transmitting infection to you, they are not exposing you, because they are protecting themselves, and you protect yourself as well to decrease that risk of transmission. Management must play an important part in advising workers about COVID-19. Workers are to be advised that if they develop a fever or they're not feeling well, then they should call in and stay home. Workplaces must make those allowances to prevent the possibility of somebody who is symptomatic coming to work. If persons are not feeling better after a few days at home, then they should seek medical advice, and that may include doing a test. If they have done a test and the test is positive, they will be required to stay at home for a minimum of 14 days, including 3 symptom-free days after symptoms are resolved. Now, because whatever workplace they're coming from has been observing all the workplace protocols, and that person would have been in a mask at work, would have been hand sanitizing as they move from area to area, then there is no need to close your business or to send home other workers. If someone in the workplace is observed to be ill and to have a fever or respiratory symptoms, then that person should be sent home. Now, the area in which the person was should be wiped with a mild bleach solution and the surfaces wiped with disinfectant or alcohol. Now, once this is done and the area is dry, then that area is safe to be used. Now, persons who are in contact with a person who was symptomatic, showing symptoms, then those persons, if they have been adhering to their IPC measures, their infection prevention and control measures, then there is no need for those persons to go home. They are allowed to come to work. However, they must obey the instructions and the advice that have been offered from the workplace to say that they must adhere to all infection prevention and control measures. And if they start to feel ill, they must stay home and report that they are ill.
It's going to require significant personal, individual responsibility. The community transmission phase is a phase that requires an all-of-society approach more than any other phase. Everyone has to play their part. That's why we say everyone counts. And in the context of a work environment, every employee, employer, their workspace has to comply with the rules of engagement, assuming that if the virus is present, it is confined to that individual and not going to be spreading across the board. And if we take that approach, then we will make it happen.
We are at the end of today's journey. You've been great company. Be sure to join us again tomorrow for another show. Until then, continue to watch these and other programs by logging onto our website, jis.gov.jm, or subscribing to our YouTube channel. You can also find us on all the major social media platforms and through our mobile app that's Android and iOS compatible. On behalf of the entire production team here at the JIS, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Until next time, walk good.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.